guys? I hope you all have been doing very well. I'm so sorry for that little 2 to 3 week hiatus, but I do hope you enjoyed some of the cinematic shots that came before this. I am out on a hike today, one of my favorite sunset spots in the entire world, and I'm hoping that some of the cloud coverage will kind of develop into that sunset that I have kind of been waiting for here in Kentucky for the past 2 weeks. Now, what ended up being fascinating about my trip to Kentucky is I spent the majority of it in Tennessee. I know that's so strange. I could not wait to get back home, but some moodiness and some storms rolled in to the Smoky Mountains. So I thought, why in the world don't I just drive the 2.5 hours down there? This entire trip has kind of got my wheels turning and kind of made me reflect on the past when I wasn't as quote unquote successful as a filmmaker, or I didn't get the opportunities that I am now, the ones that I ultimately wanted to get. A lot of the opportunities that I wanted to get were travel opportunities, and it seemed like I was never able to land those. And if any of you all are aspiring to be travel cinematographers or travel videographers, there are some tips that I have found that I wish I would have known in the past. First of which is start where you're at. And what I mean by start where you're at is you don't have to book a trip somewhere or plan a trip somewhere in order to become a travel videographer. Matter of fact, I would actually shy away from that because I found that that actually started to hinder my productivity and my creativity and my work. And what I found was that I actually needed to start with where I lived. Now, I live in somewhere pretty special. I'm not going to be one of those edgy people who like to say, oh, you know, I don't live in the most not boring place in the world and all that. I actually am very blessed to live in an amazing place, and that is Eastern Kentucky. Now, for those of you who all live in the city or live kind of in remote areas where there's not much around, hear me out. You still need to start where you are at. Now, I know what you're thinking, and you're probably thinking, Wes, I live in literally the most boring place in the world, and you might be correct. But what I have found is that no matter where you live at, someone is thinking about traveling there. If you live in New York City, plenty of people are thinking about going and living in New York City. If you live in Omaha, Nebraska, there are several people who are thinking about visiting there. And what you don't realize is that they are probably on YouTube looking for travel films on that place. So just remember, just to start where you are. Just remember, just remember, just Now, the second is going to kind of contradict the first, and that is you have to travel. I know that I literally just said start where you are at, but let's be real. In order to be a travel videographer, you have to travel. Now, for most of you, this is the issue. You have probably typed all over YouTube, how to travel, what are travel hacks, 5 easy ways to travel, 5 cheap ways to travel. And the only tip I have for you here is that you have to save money. Now, for a lot of us, we are good at saving money. For others of us, we are not good at saving money. For me, I am very mediocre at saving money. I'm not the worst, I'm not the best. My wife, on the other hand, is absolutely incredible at saving money. And what I've found is that because of her expertise and her skills at saving money, we have been able to travel. Now, this might mean having to film on a work trip or film on a family vacation, but we all have to start somewhere. And the cool thing is you don't have to travel super far. Matter of fact, some of my favorite videos have literally been taken on my property or 30 minutes to 45 minutes away from my property. Bro, those stairs wreck me every time. For those of you all who are from the Kentucky area, who ever hiked in the Kentucky area, please let me know which trail am I on. There's tons of stairs. So now that we got those out of the way, the whole you don't have to travel, but you eventually will have to travel ones out of the way, I wanted to go over my third thing, and this is a huge topic on YouTube or even in real life, and that is that the gear you use doesn't matter as much as you think it does. And what I mean about that is that your gear does matter. Gear is very important, and upgrades should happen as you begin to grow your brand and your YouTube channel and your business, but it doesn't matter as much as you probably are thinking it does at the moment. Even right now, I am filming this on a $300 camera with probably a $45 lens. It's what I carry on all of my hikes, and honestly, it's what I grew my business on. Now, with that said, I do have expensive cameras. Matter of fact, I brought an expensive camera here. This isn't the most expensive camera I've ever had, but it is an expensive camera. It's a $1,000 lens, it's a $1,500 camera with $100 batteries on it, $100 storage on it. It's an expensive unit, I'll give you that, but you don't have to have this. Look, I'm literally shooting on a cheaper piece of gear when I have this readily available. I used to think that gear was the only thing that mattered, but as I look back and have retrospect on everything, my skills never actually upgraded as soon as I upgraded my camera. So just remember that your gear does not matter as much as you think it does. Now, the fourth thing that I wanted to go over is something that had I known at the very start, I would have had a whole lot more money in my pocket. And that is, make sure you book clients wherever you're traveling at. And honestly, you can do it vice versa. Just shoot travel films wherever your clients are. But what I found is anywhere I traveled, I would always look up local businesses, smaller businesses that have a strong social media presence or are almost there in their social media presence, but they're not quite there. And I'd reach out to them and I'd let them know that I am a videographer, a traveling videographer, and that I will be in the area from X date to Y date. And I will let them know that I am open and available to schedule shoots. Now, you're going to need a couple of things in order for this to work. A, you're going to need a portfolio. You need to have already shot some stuff and have it on your Instagram or your website or even a Facebook page, or they're not really going to even know if you're serious or if you're just a kid or a guy on vacation. Another thing that is very helpful in this step is to have a few references, people that you've done work for who can vouch for you that you are legit and that you offer a good product. Now, I'm not a tax professional. I have one who does everything for me, but for the most part, everything on trips like this are tax deductible and can potentially be write-offs, and that kind of helps clean up the costs of traveling as well. Now, like I said, I'm not a tax professional, so don't take my word for that. I rely on a fully insured and completely capable, these bugs are killing me, completely capable CPA. Now, even this trip to Kentucky these past 2 weeks have been primarily business oriented. I actually shot 7 gigs in 7 days and added 3 more on in the next 7 days. That's 10 video gigs in 14 days. And something that I did was use those days in between, or even use the nights in between, to go out to the Smoky Mountains, to the Blue Ridge Mountains, to Big South Fork, places that I enjoy shooting travel films, and I just shot travel film footage. Not only does this help give us a couple of tax deductions and write-offs that we'll leave to the professionals, but it also helps fund your trip. What is better than spending money to go travel and then getting money because you're traveling? Now, I finally arrived at where I was trying to arrive at. This is by far, I think, my favorite overlook. It might not be my favorite place in Kentucky, but it is without a doubt my favorite overlook in Kentucky. Now, for the fifth and final tip and way to become a travel filmmaker, it is to grab your camera and use it. This absolutely aggravates the fire out of me. And I am guilty of it so many times. I was actually guilty of it this past week at the Smoky Mountains when the weather was not cooperating with me, and that is use your camera. Just use your camera. Get it out of your camera bag, bring it out from your house. Who cares if the weather's not ideal? The weather right now is super harsh. It's just blasting me in the eye. I was trying to shoot backlit and it just wouldn't work with this camera, and it wouldn't work with this lens and this ND filter and all of that jazz, but I still just grabbed the camera. I came out here, I'm hiking, I'm shooting things, and I hope that you all are enjoying it. But the key here is to just use your camera. If you don't have a mirrorless or a DSLR camera, use your phone. And I know that you're sick and tired of hearing people tell you to use your phone, but listen to me. Use what you have and just use it. And I'm sure that you're sick and tired of me telling you this, but I literally started with my phone running on trails, and I moved to this $300 camera. It kickstarted my business. It kickstarted this amazing life that I get to live and travel the entire world. So whatever you do, just use your camera. Get out there, film wherever you're at. If you're in your backyard, film. If you're in your neighbor's yard, get out and go film your backyard. If you're on a hiking trail, just film. Just use your camera. All right, guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and hop off here. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I'm gonna have some super cool content, a couple travel films coming out on this channel. It's gonna be super overwhelming just to go through the awesome footage I've got over the past 2 or 3 weeks. If you don't follow me on Instagram, follow me at Westworks Media. I've already been putting out little sneak peeks of the stuff that I've gotten these past 2 weeks. I'm gonna sit here, watch this time lapse go on, and you might get to see it right now.